Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, we're going to be taking a final look at the Week 1 NFL slate on DraftKings. We're going to go position by position, quarterback through tight end, touch on all of my favorite options this week, touch on some of my favorite stacks as well, some lower owned stacks I'm looking to target in tournaments, and just individual plays I like at each position. So before we do get started with the breakdown, as always, guys, I would appreciate it if you would click that like button down below. Be sure to click that subscribe button as well, and comment, anything down below. Comment some of your favorite plays for this Week 1 slate. I'm always, reading the comments, replying to comments. So definitely let me know, down below in the comment section who are some of the guys you're targeting on this Week 1 slate, or if you just have any feedback you want to leave, be sure to do that down below in the comment section. But yeah, guys, let's go ahead and start off at quarterback, and we'll just kind of run through from top to bottom. Obviously, I'm not going to touch on every single player. That would be just pointless. I'm going to really hit on the guys that I have the most interest in. So when it comes to these top-tier quarterbacks, from like Russell Wilson up, Russell Wilson, Josh Allen, Kyler Murray, Patrick Mahomes, these guys are basically in play every single week. No matter how good or bad the matchup is, you can play these guys just about every week. Some weeks, there will be guys that stand out ahead of others, and I think this week, Kyler Murray, in my opinion, is the quarterback that I think stands out the most from out of all the top tier guys. It's just such a good matchup against Tennessee. This Tennessee defense, in terms of their pass defense, should not be that good this year. They weren't that great last year. It's a great game environment here. This game currently does have the highest total on the slate, 54 total between the Titans and the Cardinals. So there's a lot to like here. We know Kyler Murray is an elite fantasy quarterback, has elite scrambling upside, can go out there and throw for 250, 300 yards any game, and can run for 80 to 100 yards. Like, his upside is just so much higher than anyone else. Like, Kyler Murray is one of those guys that can break a slate, and normally quarterbacks are not, rarely do quarterbacks just break slates, but Kyler Murray has the upside to put up 40 plus DK points any week. At 7,600, if I'm paying up at quarterback this week, he's probably the first guy that I'm looking to. But really, all these guys, like Patrick Mahomes, you could play against Cleveland. You could stack him up with Travis Kelce, with Tyreek Hill, Josh Allen. Matchup against Pittsburgh, probably not ideal, but you could still play Josh Allen just about any week. He's got massive upside. You could stack him up with, Stephon Diggs or Cole Beasley if you want to go a little bit different. Russell Wilson on the road against the Colts. Good game environment at home or indoors, even though they're on the road. Still pretty good game environment. 7K price point for Russell Wilson. Should be fairly low owned, I would assume. I don't think Russell Wilson gets much ownership. I don't think the Seattle pass catchers, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, I don't think those guys get much ownership as well. But the good thing about Russell Wilson, where his targets are going. Like, when he's throwing the ball, it's going to Tyler Lockett, it's going to DK Metcalf. So if you're going to play Russell Wilson, you probably are going to want to stack him up with at least one of those two guys, if not maybe double stack him with Lockett and Metcalf. But yeah, Kyler Murray is the guy that I think I like the most at the top. Great game environment, high total, good matchup. I like stacking him with DeAndre Hopkins, or if you want to, go a little bit cheaper, you could stack him up with Rondale Moore, who we'll talk about, a receiver. Super cheap. I think he's minimum salary this week. So that's kind of my breakdown of the top tier quarterbacks. Now in this mid-range, a lot of these guys are in play for me, but to narrow it down, I would say that Ryan Tannehill and Jalen Hurts are probably my two favorite of the 6K quarterbacks. Again, great matchup here for Ryan Tannehill at home against Arizona. Great game environment, high total. Game that should be played fast. Both these teams play pretty up-tempo, especially the Cardinals. So 6,500 for Tannehill. I'm pretty high on Tannehill, for the whole season. I think he's going to be a really good fantasy quarterback this year. He's got Julio Jones now. This Titans offense should be elite. With Derrick Henry running the ball, with Julio Jones, A.J. Brown on the outside, they've just got so many weapons. They should be putting up a ton of points every single week. I think they're going to put up a ton of points this week. I'm playing a lot of tournament lineups on DK this week, so I'm going to have a good amount of exposure just really to both sides of this Arizona-Tennessee game. Just going to stack it up in just about every way possible. So Ryan Tannehill, 6,500, I like a lot in the mid-range. And then Jalen Hurts, another one of these dual-threat quarterbacks, kind of similar to Kyler Murray. Obviously, he doesn't have as much upside as Kyler Murray does, but still a guy that can go out there and run for 60 to 80 yards and also throw for 250, 300 yards. 6,400, good matchup against Atlanta. Another good game environment with a high total. A game that's going to be played indoors. I do like Jalen Hurts as a mid-range quarterback at 6,400. Those are probably my two favorite guys in the mid-range, but a lot of these other options are playable, like Kirk Cousins, good matchup. You can stack him up with Justin Jefferson or Adam Thielen. Both those guys should be, I think, fairly low owned on this slate. Trevor Lawrence, his stacking options are very cheap, whether you want to go with Marvin Jones or Laviska Shenault. Laviska's only 5K. Marvin Jones, super cheap, 3,600. You could go with Trevor Lawrence, stack him up with his receivers. But really, narrowing it down, Ryan Tannehill, Jalen Hurts are probably my two favorite of the mid-range quarterbacks. Now, looking at the value tier, there's a good amount of value at quarterback this week as well. Odell, I like a lot, and I think I'm going to be pretty high on. I'm going to be very overweight on him, so I'm definitely going to have some exposure to Baker Mayfield. I think Odell's way too cheap at wide receiver. We'll talk about him when we get there. Obviously, if I'm playing a lot of Odell, I'm probably going to have some Baker Mayfield exposure. Another good game environment, Cleveland KC, should be a very high-scoring game. Cleveland probably going to have to throw a lot in this game. They're probably going to be playing from behind. So I do have some interest in Baker Mayfield. And then Jameis Winston, the other value quarterback I like a good amount, 5,200. Just think that's way too cheap for Jameis Winston. In this Saints offense, without Michael Thomas, obviously he doesn't have the weapons that he used to have when he was with Tampa Bay. But still, 5,200 is too cheap for Jameis. We know he's going to go out there and sling the ball downfield. He's not afraid to take deep shots. He's got upside. He can throw for 300-plus yards just about any week. The only negative I would say is that the matchup in the game environment is not the best. Like, this game is not being played in New Orleans. It's actually being played in Jacksonville. So it's going to be outdoors, which obviously is, I would say, not ideal. You would rather this game be played in New Orleans in the Superdome. But I do like Jameis a lot at 5,200. For sure, one of my favorite value quarterbacks this week. And very similar to Trevor Lawrence, his pass catchers are very cheap as well. You can stack up Jameis with Tre'Quan Smith, with MARQUEZ CALLAWAY, who's going to be popular. But I like those guys as a value receivers because they're all cheap. Should get pretty good target share in the offense, especially while Michael Thomas is not playing. So with Michael Thomas out, we know where the targets should be going on this offense to those three guys: Tre'Quan Smith, MARQUEZ CALLAWAY, and obviously Alvin Kamara out of the backfield. Definitely like Jameis Winston as a value quarterback, and even like Sam Darnold. I mentioned Sam Darnold in my value picks video. You can check that out if you would like. It's already on the channel. Sam Darnold, only 5K. Another quarterback that should be fairly low owned. I don't see him getting much attention this week. A lot of people are going to be paying up for Christian McCaffrey at running back. And obviously Christian McCaffrey is a very good play just about every single week. He's going to be one of the top projected players overall just about every single week. But maybe in some lineups where you don't have Christian McCaffrey, maybe you get some exposure to this Carolina passing game, because in the scenario that Christian McCaffrey does not do well, it probably means he's not scoring touchdowns. And if he's not scoring touchdowns, that either means that the Panthers' offense is just doing terrible, or that the passing game is scoring all the touchdowns. And if that's the case, you're going to want to have some exposure to Sam Darnold. So 5K, good matchup against the Jets. Revenge game if you want to factor that in. I like Sam Darnold as a punt QB as well. He's another guy kind of on my radar. But those are kind of my favorite options. There's some other guys worth mentioning. Like, Mac Jones is way down here at 4,400. First NFL start, of his career. We'll have to see how he does at home against Miami. I don't mind him as a punt play, but more of just a dart throw. Not going to be someone that's like a part of my core. That's probably it, though, for quarterback. I think we mainly touched on the guys I have the most interest in. Now, before we do move on to running back, I want to give a quick shout out to PrizePicks, guys. They are the sponsor of this video. If you guys have not checked out PrizePicks yet, be sure to use promo code NOAH. When you do sign up, you'll get a 100% match on your first deposit up to $100. And if you actually look on the screen right now, PrizePicks is doing a promo this weekend. It's for Patrick Mahomes. Only have him projected for 0.5 passing yards. So this is basically a free pick that they're giving you. Obviously, this pick is, if you bet the over here, it's going to be an easy win. So you go sign up for PrizePicks, use promo code NOAH, make a deposit, get that deposit bonus, and then you can get a free pick with Patrick Mahomes over 0.5 passing yards. You just have to find one more pick that you like to go with that one, and you can easily triple up your money. So let's just say like Jalen Hurts, I have a lot of interest in this week. So Jalen Hurts projected for 22.5 fantasy points. That's a pretty good projection, but I would say if I had to take a side there, I would take the over. If you want to take the over on Jalen Hurts fantasy points with the Patrick Mahomes one, you could do a power play, and that would pay out 3x. Obviously, you're going to get the Patrick Mahomes pick correct, so all you have to do is get the Jalen Hurts pick correct, and you're going to triple up your money. But even if you want to do a flex play to make it play it a little bit safer, like even if Jalen Hurts does not go over his projection, you would still get half of your money back, because obviously you're going to win the Patrick Mahomes pick. And if Jalen Hurts does go over his projection, you would get double your money. So you can kind of play it safe, go for the flex play. If you go 2 for 2, you'll get double your money. Even if you only get one pick right, you'll still get half your money back. Or if you want to go for a little bit heavier, go for the power play. Basically Jalen Hurts is going to have to go over. If he does, you'll get 3x your money. So choose how you want to play it, guys, but definitely take advantage of this promo right now. PrizePicks is running. Patrick Mahomes, only have him projected for 0.5 passing yards. Go over to PrizePicks, sign up for their site, use promo code NOAH, take the over on his projection and then find some other picks you like to go with that one. But yeah, cool thing that PrizePicks is running this weekend. You're gonna want to take advantage of it, while they're doing it. But yeah, let's go ahead and talk about the running back position now. So at running back at the top, Christian McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, in my opinion, are kind of 1A, 1B for me this week. If I'm paying up at the running back position, those are probably the first two guys I'm looking to. Obviously, Derrick Henry, Alvin Kamara, you can't go wrong with those two guys either, but you can't play everyone. I'm going to be playing a lot of tournament lineups. I'll probably have exposure to all four of those guys, but I do expect Christian McCaffrey to probably be one of my highest owned running backs this week. Really, Christian McCaffrey is an auto play for me just about every single week. Nothing's going to change this week. Good matchup at home against the Jets, home favorites. We know McCaffrey's going to get massive volume both in the passing game and on the ground. He's going to get all the goal line work. His workload is just so secure, man. He's going to be on the field for just about every single snap. He's the best play almost every single week. He's going to be one of the top projected plays just about every single week, and I don't think anything's going to change this week. So I definitely am interested in Christian McCaffrey. He's by far one of the first guys I'm going to be putting into most of my lineups. But Dalvin Cook, I do have a lot of interest in as well. Good matchup for him against Cincinnati. I think he will be a good amount lower owned than Christian McCaffrey. I think CMC will probably be around 30-35% owned. Dalvin Cook will probably be in the low 20s. You could play both those guys together. You could play Cook over McCaffrey. It's kind of your choice, but I really like Dalvin as well. Good matchup. Cincinnati's defense is just terrible against the run. Pretty sure they allowed like the third or fourth most rushing yards per game last season. I don't think much is going to change this year. We know Cook's a massive, just workhorse back, going to get massive volume. Him and McCaffrey are the two guys I'm looking to at the top, but Derrick Henry I'm for sure going to have some exposure to, especially in lineups where I'm stacking up Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins. I would for sure be using Henry as a run back in those Kyler Murray stacks. And same goes for Alvin Kamara. Devontae Adams, Aaron Rodgers, you can stack those guys up just about every week, run it back with Alvin Kamara. Or if you even want to stack up Kamara and Jameis Winston, normally I don't stack up running backs and quarterbacks together, but obviously an elite pass-catching running back like Alvin Kamara, Jameis Winston could put up a big game this week, and he could throw 2-3 touchdowns, and 2 of those touchdowns go to Alvin Kamara. So yeah, I definitely like Kamara as well, but McCaffrey, Cook are kind of 1A, 1B for me at the top tier. Now moving down to this 6K range, I would say that probably one of my favorite tournament plays. I don't think he's going to be too popular. Aaron Jones, 6,800. The matchup's not good. New Orleans always been very good against the run, but we know Aaron Jones at least should get close to a 20 touch workload. I mean, he's always been someone that I feel like is a bit underutilized. I think Green Bay should definitely use Aaron Jones way more. He should have a way heavier workload. Jamal Williams is no longer on the team. They do still have A.J. Dillon, though, and I think A.J. Dillon is probably going to be, a guy that gets 6 to 8 touches a week, or, on a weekly basis. But this is still Aaron Jones' backfield. He should get 15 to 20 touches a week. He can get usage in the passing game. 6,800 is probably a little bit too cheap for him, even in a little bit of a tougher matchup like this against the Saints. I still do like Aaron Jones. I think he's going to be a little bit under-owned this week. I like, Jameis Winston, obviously. I like his pass catchers. You can stack those guys up together and then run it back with Aaron Jones as a way to get a little bit different in tournaments, because obviously MARQUEZ CALLAWAY going to be really popular, but that doesn't mean you can't play him. You can still stack him up with Winston and then run it back with Aaron Jones, and automatically you're going to be a little bit different that way. So I do like Aaron Jones a lot in the mid-range as a tournament option. Couple other guys like Joe Mixon, just 6,200 is too cheap for a workhorse type running back. I mean, last year when he was healthy, in the 6 games he played, I'm pretty sure he got 20 touches in just about every single game. 19 touches in every single game last year for Joe Mixon in all 6 games that he played. I don't see too much changing this year. I mean, as long as he can stay healthy, he should be a workhorse running back. At home against Minnesota, pretty good game environment, a game that has some sneaky shootout potential. I do like Joe Mixon in the mid-range at 6,200, and then 6K and below, starting to get down to a little bit of the cheaper running backs. Mike Davis, mentioned him in my value picks video. I do like him as a value running back this week. Another guy that I think does get close to a workhorse type role. Probably going to see 12 to 15 carries. Going to get some usage in the passing game. Only 5,400. Good game environment here. Philly, Atlanta. Another game that has shootout potential. Good game to target just because it's indoors. Should be high scoring. Should see some points scored on both sides. A lot of guys in this game are cheap, and you can stack up this game in a lot of ways, whether you want to go with Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith, stack those 2 guys up, run it back with Mike Davis. There's just so many ways you can get exposure and stack up this Atlanta-Philly game. And Mike Davis at 5,400, if I'm looking for a cheaper running back this week, he's for sure going to be one of the first guys I click. And especially because I like this game so much, it's very easy to get exposure to Mike Davis when I'm stacking up, the Eagles offense in a good amount of ways. But that's probably it. Most of the value at running back is thin. Like, a lot of the value this week is coming at the wide receiver position. But I definitely wanted to mention, Mike Davis is a cheaper option. RAHEEM Mostert, great matchup against the Lions. The 49ers should just absolutely feast this weekend. I mean, they should unload against this Detroit team. Like, they're probably going to win this game by 3 touchdowns. Good possibility the 49ers score 35 points this week. I mean, for 5,800 in a great matchup, good game environment, good home or big home or not home favorites, but road favorites. I like RAHEEM Mostert a good amount. We know the opportunity is going to be there. The pass game usage, not what you would like to see, but going to get as many carries as he can. Should be playing from ahead for most of this game. Trey Sermon is, in the backfield, and obviously Trey Sermon will be involved. But I still think Mostert has a good opportunity to put up a big Week 1 performance, and I think his ownership is going to be fairly low. You don't have to really stack up this game. Like, I think you can just kind of play Mostert as a one-off. I don't really need to get much exposure to the Detroit side, but Mostert as a running back that's lower owned in the mid-range, I do like as well. But that kind of does it for running back. Now let's move on to wide receiver and touch on the wide receiver position. So at the top here, again, a lot of these guys at the top are pretty much playable every single week. If I'm having to pick out some of my top tier guys, it's really going to come down to who I'm stacking. I would say Kyler Murray is my favorite of the top tier quarterbacks. So like in lineups where I play Kyler Murray, I'm going to have exposure to DeAndre Hopkins. But if I'm just playing one single entry lineup or maybe a cash game lineup, I think Calvin Ridley would be the guy I'd be paying up for at the top. Just without Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley is going to get a massive target share this year. He should lead this team in targets by a long shot. He's probably going to see double-digit targets on a weekly basis. Good matchup at home against the Eagles. Good game environment. Game being played indoors. High total. Like right now, this game's got at 49 total, which is towards the top of the slate. We've already talked about so many guys I like from this Eagles-Falcons game. There's so many ways to stack it up. Calvin Ridley might be my favorite of the top-tier receivers, but really all these guys are in play. It's just going to come down to, in lineups where I have certain stacks, that's really going to come down to what receiver I play or what receivers I have exposure to. But if I have to just pick out one of the top-tier receivers, it's probably Calvin Ridley for me, number 1, and then probably D-Hop 2, Devontae Adams 3. But, man, it's so hard to, pick from these top-tier guys. Like, they're basically all of them are in play every single week. It just comes down to your roster construction, who you're stacking, and like I said, I think Kyler Murray going to be a quarterback I have a good amount of exposure to, which will automatically make me have exposure to DeAndre Hopkins. But moving down to the 6K range of receiver, we talked about Ryan Tannehill, how much I have interest in him. So A.J. Brown, Julio Jones in my Ryan Tannehill lineups, I'm for sure going to have some exposure to those guys. If you want to get a little bit different, we talked about Sam Darnold. You can stack him up with DJ Moore. You can stack him up with Robbie Anderson. I think both those guys will be fairly low owned this week, and I do like that stacking those, that Carolina passing game. I like doing that in tournaments, especially in lineups where you don't have Christian McCaffrey. Maybe you get some exposure to the Carolina passing game. But getting down to like the 5K range, one of my biggest stands for sure, Odell Beckham. I'm going to be very heavy on Odell Beckham. He's currently questionable for Sunday's game, but I would assume he's going to be good to go. I mean, he's had all season to heal up. He should be ready for this game. 5,400. People are definitely not interested in Odell right now. Like, a lot of people are kind of just off of him until they see him do well. I'm going to just kind of buy low and hope that this is the week that Odell goes off. I mean, good matchup against KC, good game environment, a game where you should see the Browns forced to throw. Like, they should have to throw a ton because they're going to be playing from behind most likely. There's definitely a possibility that we get an Odell ceiling game right out of the gate in week 1, and there's a good possibility that he kind of turns back the clock and, goes back to what he used to be when he was, with the Giants a couple years. He was an elite wide receiver 1, a guy that we would see priced in the 7K, 8K range almost on a weekly basis. Like, we could get that Odell this year. Like, obviously he did not have a great season last year. He was injured for most of the year. He did show some upside though, especially that one game against Dallas. He went nuclear that 1 week, but 5,400 Odell Beckham in tournaments, I'm going to be very overweight on him. Like, the ownership projections I'm looking at right now, I mean, they have him, like, he's way down here. I think he's in single digits, I'm pretty sure. Let me see. Yeah, currently Odell Beckham is projecting, the projections I'm looking at, he currently has 3.5% ownership on DK. So Odell Beckham going to be single digit ownership. Sign me up for that at 5,400. Love Odell this week. Obviously, you could stack him up with Baker Mayfield or you could stack up the Kansas City side and then use Odell as a run back. This Cleveland KC game, another game I'm going to have a good amount of exposure to, and Odell Beckham for sure going to be one of my bigger stands this week, I think. But now moving down to the value tier, there's a lot of value at wide receiver this week. This is the position that we get a lot of our value from. So many playable options down here. Corey Davis should be the #1 receiver for the Jets, only 4,900. We've already talked about some Panthers guys I like. Definitely going to run it back with a couple Jets. I'm not going to go too heavy on this Jets offense, but Corey Davis at 4,900 I do like as a cheaper receiver option. Going down to the 3K range, some more plays like Michael Pittman I did want to mention. I'm pretty sure T.Y. Hilton's going to be out this week. I think he's already been ruled out. Let me see. Pretty sure T.Y. Hilton's already on the IR. So Michael Pittman probably going to be the #1 wide receiver for the Colts. Good matchup here against the Seahawks. The Seahawks were another defense that you could definitely pick on last season, especially through the air. They were not a very good pass defense. They don't really have any elite shutdown corners. I'm not really scared about the matchup for Michael Pittman. Only 4,100, getting a wide receiver 1 at this price point. He's another really good value at wide receiver, and a couple more values I'm looking to. Marvin Jones Jr., mentioned him earlier, 3,600. By the end of the season, he could potentially lead this Jaguars team in targets. Him and Laviska Shenault, I think, are going to be the 1A, 1B when it comes to, who Trevor Lawrence is looking to throw to. I think those are going to be the two guys that get the most looks on this, in this Jaguars offense. Marvin Jones, 3,600. Good matchup against the Texans. The Texans should just be absolutely terrible this year. Their defense should just be absolutely terrible. 3,600, way too cheap for Marvin Jones. Like him a lot as a value receiver. And then Marquez Callaway, kind of the chalk value receiver, but hard not to have interest in him. No Michael Thomas. He showed a ton of connection with Jameis Winston in the preseason. They connected on a couple long balls. Those guys, if Jameis Winston throws the ball 30, 35 times, which is very, very possible this week, that probably means Marquez Callaway is getting 7, 8 targets minimum. He could see double-digit targets this week, and I would not be surprised. The only thing that sucks is that, the matchup's not good. Green Bay does have a pretty good secondary. I'm going to be interested to see, if Jair Alexander, if he shadows anybody. I don't think he would shadow any of these guys, but yeah, 3,400, super cheap for another wide receiver 1. Definitely like Marquez Callaway. If you want to get a little bit different in tournaments, Tre'Quan Smith, a lot more expensive than Marquez Callaway, but he's going to be really low owned. Everyone's going to play Callaway, so you could definitely go to Tre'Quan Smith in tournaments as just a way to get different. But Marquez Callaway, Marvin Jones, Michael Pittman, these are kind of the value plays I'm looking to at receiver. And then there's a couple punt options you could look to. The Jets right now are dealing with some injuries. Jamison Crowder, I'm pretty sure, is on the COVID list, and he already got ruled out for Sunday's game. So Elijah Moore, stone minimum 3K, probably going to be the wide receiver 2 behind Corey Davis. Minimum salary, that's really all that I can say. I'm not saying that Elijah Moore is going to go out there and just, get 15 targets this week, but at 3K, good possibility that he sees 6, 7 targets. I like him a good amount as a punt option. Another guy you could get some exposure to, if you're looking for a run back in some of your Carolina stacks, if you're stacking up Sam Darnold, Robbie Anderson, you want to run it back with someone on the Jets, you could look to Elijah Moore, you could look to Corey Davis, and then Rondale Moore as well on the Cardinals, another minimum salary guy that you could look to target. We've already talked about Kyler Murray, how much I have interest in him. Rondale Moore showed some upside in the preseason, a guy that, pretty quick receiver. I don't know too much about him, but he should be probably the wide receiver 3 for this Cardinals team. He should play kind of that slot role, fill what Larry Fitzgerald used to do. Should be Christian Kirk and D-Hop on the outside, and then Rondale Moore in the slot at still minimum 3K. Another guy that I like as a punt receiver option. So both Moores, Rondale Moore, Elijah Moore. If you're punting receiver, you need some really cheap value. Those are guys you can look to. Obviously, you can use those guys in your stacks as well, because we talked about how you can stack those offenses, but. That's probably it for receiver. Obviously, there's a ton of options here. Like Devontae Smith, I even skipped over. I like him for value this week. There's so many options, but I want to try and keep this video, somewhat short. I don't want to talk about every single player on the slate, so just wanted to hit on the main options, main guys that I'm really looking to target. But really, when it comes to wide receiver, it all depends on, especially if you're playing tournaments, it's going to depend on what quarterbacks you're playing and what kind of stacks you're building. So, if you're playing Patrick Mahomes, you're probably going to want to get Tyreek Hill or Travis Kelce. If you're playing Kyler Murray, you're probably going to want to get D-Hop or Rondale Moore or Christian Kirk. So it's hard to really say, these are the best receiver options, because in the end, it just comes down, especially in tournaments, you see it every single week, and you're going to see it in week 1. Stacking is the way to go in tournaments. Quarterback receiver stacks, double stacks with run backs. Like, that's how you win tournaments. That's how you maximize your ceiling, cap all the upside. You know, if there's a game this week that winds up being 35-38 final score, like, you're probably going to have multiple players from that game. And there's a lot of games this week that had that kind of shootout potential. So, yeah, that's kind of my breakdown of wide receiver. Now, quickly covering tight end. At the top, Travis Kelce, the clear best tight end play every single week. I don't need to tell you that. You know, it's just a matter of if you can fit him in or not, and there's so much value at the wide receiver position. We've talked about so many guys in the 3K, 4K range you can play at wide receiver that should make it fairly easy to get Travis Kelce in. So I will definitely have exposure to Travis Kelce, especially in like my Odell Beckham lineups. Maybe I stack up Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and then run those back with Odell Beckham, who, like I said, I'm going to be pretty heavy on and pretty overweight on as a whole. But George Kittle for the savings, you could also go to 6,300. No problems with George Kittle either, but I would say like single entry, cash games, if I'm playing one lineup, the tight end that I'm probably going to be building around is Kyle Pitts. Only 4,400. He's most likely going to be the most popular tight end. Hard not to like him, though. This is just too cheap of a price point. In a good matchup, in a good game environment, indoors, Kyle Pitts should be the number 2 on this or in this Falcons offense behind Calvin Ridley. Obviously, Kyle Pitts, a super athletic tight end, a great receiving tight end. I don't think he's going to be 4,400 for very long. He's probably going to be a 6K tight end for most of the season. We are getting a very big discount on him for this week 1 slate. Definitely like Kyle Pitts the most at tight end, but Travis Kelce, George Kittle, I like a good amount as well. If you're looking to go really cheap, if you're looking to just kind of punt the position, I mean, there's a couple guys down here you look to, like, you know, Tyler Conklin, probably going to be the number 1 tight end for Minnesota now that, you know, Irv Smith is out. If you want to go to Tyler Conklin just to punt, 2,900, don't mind him. Tyler Kroft is the minimum salary. You know, Tyler Kroft, like, try not to throw up, but 2,500, you really want to punt tight end. I'm pretty sure he's like the only healthy tight end on the Jets roster right now because they traded away Chris Herndon. I think they did re-sign Ryan Griffin. Yeah, they re-signed Ryan Griffin, but I'm pretty sure the rest of these guys are all... I'm not sure if the rest of these guys were even on the team. I know they waived some of these, yeah. So Kenny YEBOAH, I have no idea who this dude is, but he was waived. I don't know if this Wesco guy's on the team, but Tyler Kroft should be the number 1 tight end for the Jets. He's stone minimum 2,500. If you want to punt, that's fine. But, you know, tight end, again, is another position. Tight end's normally a position where I look to do, you know, like run backs. So, like in my Odell Beckham lineups, I'll probably have Travis Kelce in those. In my, you know, Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith lineups, I'll probably have Kyle Pitts in those. It just comes down to, you know, your roster construction. But I would say for me, the tight end position just overall, Travis Kelce, George Kittle, Kyle Pitts. If you want to punt, Tyler Conklin, Tyler Kroft, those are kind of the guys I'm looking to at the tight end position this week. But I think that does it for this week 1 slate, guys. I think I broke everything down. Tried to, you know, keep this video as short and sweet as possible. I hope you guys did enjoy, though, and I do appreciate you watching. If you did enjoy, click that like button down below. Click that subscribe button as well, and also make sure to comment something down below, whether that's, you know, your favorite play for this week 1 slate, or if you just want to give any feedback, want to leave any suggestions. I'm always reading the comment section, guys. I do appreciate all your comments and everything. And lastly, check out PrizePicks if you have not yet. Again, PrizePicks is running this cool promo this weekend with Patrick Mahomes, currently projected for 0.5 passing yards. Obviously, you're going to take the over on his projection. If you want to check them out, you know, use promo code Noah when you sign up, or, you know, link down below in the description. Just click that link. It'll take you straight to PrizePicks. But make sure to use promo code Noah so you get that deposit bonus. Also, make sure to get in on this free, you know, kind of pick that PrizePicks is doing. Go over on Patrick Mahomes passing yards and then find you another pick that you like, and you can easily triple up your money if you get your second pick correct. So definitely check out PrizePicks, guys, if you have not yet. They are the sponsor of this video. But that does it for the week 1 slate. Appreciate you guys watching. I hope you did enjoy this video, and if you did, click the like button, click the subscribe button, comment down below some of your favorite plays for this week 1 slate, and we'll see you guys Sunday morning for the live stream. I'll be live on my YouTube channel, breaking everything down once again. See you guys then. Good luck, guys. Peace.